play right, cause they can't miss. All about the game, that's a cold switch. Serving up the truth, call it ruthless. Tune in and get your fix from Blake and Vish Sports.
Question, and I think this was the first one, so we can go with it. But Pinor, always asking great questions, asks, the Bengals have taken a step up this year, but is the success of the Bengals more because of the Browns dealing with injuries, Ravens relying on Lamar, and Steelers underperforming? Vish, what do you think?
I do think it's a mixture of all of those things, but I also think Cincinnati's good. I think we underrated their defense coming into this season because we just we haven't seen a lot of production for more than 1 year from a lot of their players on their defense, right? We knew Von Bell has been a really solid player for a while. Jesse Bates was not, I wouldn't say struggled, but he wasn't the safety he was last year in his first 2 years in the NFL. I think that's very much fair to say. He was terrific last year, and it's continued. And him and Von Bell are one of the best safety duos in football. Logan Wilson has really stepped up for them in linebacker. That was not a guy I personally was that aware of before the season. Trey Hendrickson had that one fantastic season in New Orleans and was paid, to be a number one pass rusher. And I knew he was a good player. I wasn't sure if he could be that guy. And he's been a standout signing for Cincinnati. He's been better. I thought they messed up by giving him money and letting Carl Lawson walk, but no, Carl Lawson tore his Achilles, and here's Trey Hendrickson kicking butt for them. And then I was nervous about Burrow coming back from the ACL. He looks great. Jamar Chase we've talked about him a couple of times here already. He's unbelievable. He is so good. And so I do think the Cincinnati Bengals are good. I do think they also, are benefiting from the division. Pittsburgh is not a good football team. Pittsburgh, the only reason I think they're above 500 right now is because Mike Tomlin's their head coach. I don't know how they win games. I don't know how they do it because their offense is horrible. Big Ben, it's time to retire. This looks like Eli at the end of his career. Their defense is really good. Najee Harris is good, and Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool are special. But it's ugly every week with Pittsburgh. But because Mike Tomlin's their head coach, they don't beat themselves. They're excellent situationally and stuff like that. They're somehow having a winning record. Baltimore, I think you and I were on the Baltimore is overrated train as a football team. Lamar Jackson is one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. There's no doubt about that. He's proven that this season, and that's why Baltimore has the record they have. Top to bottom, their roster lacks talent in the offensive line, especially Ronnie Stanley with him battling injuries this season again. It's been difficult for them. Their defensive line and front seven to me is a question mark, and their secondary, Deshaun Elliott and Marlon Humphrey are the 2 standout players in that secondary. Everybody else to me is inconsistent. I have a question mark about even Chuck Clark, who's fine. So look, I do think, and of course the Browns are mega talented. They've been dealing with injuries from Baker Mayfield to every single person on that roster, it seems, besides Myles Garrett, is dealing with something. But I think more or less, I don't think that takes away from how good Cincinnati is. That's what I'm saying. I think every one of those reasons are correct. They're true. But I also think Cincinnati is proving that they're way more talented than we gave them credit for. They're a really good football team. Burrow's a special quarterback.
Yeah, I think some of these factors, all right, going into the year, people kind of knew the Steelers were on the downslide. I think that was something most people agreed with. Ravens, they're kind of where we thought they were. They're better than a 500 team, but they're not in that, elite top 3 category in the AFC or in the NFL. And then the Browns are probably the biggest surprise to us. We had them ranked really high. I think we both put them in that top 3 AFC team just because of how loaded their roster was, but they've been dealing with tons of injuries to their quarterback, running backs, line, defense, you name it. They're injured there. So that's tough. But I also think more than anything is the Bengals have just been better than we all thought. You mentioned their defense. Chidobe Awuzie has been an insane corner. He has been unreal. I don't know where this was when he was on the Cowboys, but he has been legitimately locked down. And their defense has been really solid. And then Burrow coming back, he's been better than last year. Jamar Chase is better. We thought he would be good, but we didn't think he would be generational. We didn't think he would be almost leading the league in receiving yards. We didn't think that. And Joe Mixon stayed healthy. Their line has been better than we previously thought it would be, although there's still I still have question marks there regardless. But yeah, I think it's
getting better.
This is more about the Bengals being better than we thought than these other teams maybe not being as good as we thought. Mainly the Browns. I think the Ravens and the Steelers, we kind of knew where they were, but the Browns are a surprise. But still, I mean, in my rankings, I had the Bengals finishing, third or fourth in this division, and they're going to probably finish first or second. So I think it's more about the Bengals being a team that we didn't think highly enough of, as opposed to a team that's maybe like the Titans that I feel like are benefiting from having the Jags and the Texans in their division, as opposed to they're beating up on the bad teams. Where the Bengals have played really good teams closely and have beaten good teams.
Yeah, like, look, the Jets game was disgusting this weekend, right? But the
Yeah.
Bengals played Green Bay down to the wire. They played Green Bay as good as anybody's played Green Bay this year.
Yep.
They're very talented. I think that's really the big takeaway, right? All those factors, I'm with you. They're true. They're part of it. But Cincinnati's also good.
Yep. And then we need the slander for Zach Taylor has I'm maybe not officially ended, but the stuff saying Zach Taylor needs to be fired, I think that is out the window now. He's been really good. I think there's been a couple of sides to this. There's been the side saying he hasn't done anything in the past few years, and then the side saying, how can he do this when he's been starting look who at quarterback? And I think it's the who he's been starting at quarterback side that's kind of coming out on top, because they've been fantastic this year. Hopefully it continues for the rest of the year.
So I disagree. I don't think. Look, Zach Taylor is a good coach, but I think Zach Taylor and Cliff Kingsbury kind of fall in the if you really get a special quarterback, even if you're an okay
Mhm.
coordinator and do like normal things on offense that a lot of different coaches can do, you can look really good and win a lot of games because that quarterback's just the great equalizer. I'm not saying he's bad or deserves to get fired or anything, but I do feel like even though it's not like his offense is really breaking schematically or anything, I think it's solid, and a solid offense gets it done when you have Joe Burrow, who's unbelievably so good in the pocket, and he's so smart, and he knows where to go with the football, and he's so accurate. And then you have Jamar Chase, who no matter who you line him up against outside, he's beating them down the field and creating big plays, even if you're running, go balls against bad looks and, poor, and he's just so good that he'll win for you on the outside.
Yeah.